Not like I have any books to talk about anyways. And it's Face Mask Night.
Hey guys!
Welcome back to our channel.
We gotta talk. Lori failed. Like, the entire time we've had a booktube channel, at least I've had one book read.
Okay, so out of the entire time that I've been on booktube, February was the only month that I did not complete any. And I've been on booktube for over a year now. So I'd say that's a very good accomplishment. February was rough. Don't judge me.
So, it's just going to be me talking about books tonight.
Well, I'm going to share some thoughts on the books that I started to read. You said I could.
So, the first book that I finished reading was Shotgun on Arcana by R.S. Felker.
Oh, you actually finished it?
I did. I finished it this month.
And that is the sequel to...
That is the sequel to Six Gun Turret. As you can see, it's got a skull. And basically, the skull is a relic that, if released upon the world, would cause people to go mad and release the darkest desires in their bodies and in their minds, and it would basically be a slaughterfest. A multiple point of view book, and it's very dark. The author did do a great job with the writing style. I very much like his books, and I plan on reading more of them. I'm kind of taking a break from it right now because it did put me in I need a break from epic fantasy or even dark fantasy. It was a long read. With multiple characters, you have multiple lives going on and everything. It can be kind of slow. I did give this book a 4-star, I believe. The next book that I read was Serpentine, which is the 20-something-th book in the Anita Blake series. And yes, I've read them all, and yes, I've at least given a 3-star rating to all of the books, even the novellas. The author is Laurel K. Hamilton, and you guys have heard me bring up Anita Blake before. She's a bad necromantic insanity, uber powerful. It is an urban fantasy, and it follows supernatural, or supernaturals. So you have vampires, not Twilight, fairies, shiny, sparkly. Okay, good. You have werewolves, you have were-animals, were-leopards, hyenas, rats. I did give that one a 4 stars, and it has definitely re-sparked my interest in the Anita Blake series, because the last few books, it was almost like, if this book does not come out right, I'm not going to read it anymore, and I definitely enjoyed it. So yeah, I will be reading the next Anita Blake series book when it comes out. The last book that I read was the final book in the Kate Daniels series, Magic Triumphs by Ilona Andrews. So, obviously it's the last book. Now, here's the mistake that I made. I didn't remember a lot of it. So there was times where I had to stop and go, dang, what the heck happened with this? Did the author actually follow up with this? And I'd have to think back, and I really did have to think, because it did take a while for the last book to come out and for me to actually buy it, because I waited for the price to come down. That was my issue. I should have done a reread before I went back to doing it. And Lori actually is interested in it. It is a supernatural based urban fantasy. The magic is, they have blood magic, words of power, which is an ancient language. There are a different spin on vampires. They have navigators and Masters of the Dead. There is the Pack, which is all were-animals that you could possibly think of. They have Clan Heavy, the Wolves, Clan Buddha, which is the hyenas, the felines, just every animal you can think of is in this. You have the Mercenary Guild, and they're basically your everyday mercs. And then you have the Knights of the Order, and knights basically are protect humanity at all costs, but they're pretty much black and white on what's human and what's not human. And then you have your typical law enforcement. So that's basically that, and they all team up with Kate Daniels to fight the wars that have been going on, and just fighting what magic has brought with it, because just think about what would magic bring to today's society. It's a lot crazy. So those are the books I read.
Well, like I said, I didn't finish any books in February, but I will talk about the books that I have started. And by the way, yes, my face is red. It is normal. I wore a deep cleansing face mask and the redness will subside within a half hour. I probably should have shortened the time. I should have kept it on for 3 minutes instead of 5, but hey, it's fine.
She's shiny.
I am a little shiny, a little red. The redness will subside. I promise. My skin isn't going to stay this color forever. The first book that I started in February that I did not finish is Assassin's Apprentice, written by Robin Hobb. Now, this is a very... I think this is a popular book. I've seen it around BookTube, and I know this is one of Carol's favorite series, and I just love seeing her gush about this book, or this series, or really Robin Hobb in general. So she's one of the main reasons why I picked it up. Plus, it's an adult fantasy. I'm trying to get into adult fantasy. There you go. Our main character is Fitz. He is a spy, and he is later trained to be an assassin. What I find most interesting about him is his affinity with animals. I do like the story. I believe this is more character-based than anything, and I don't mind. What was a struggle for me so far was the dialogue. And I had a hard time describing the dialogue to Thomas. I find myself having to reread it, and then I was talking with Anna from Francesca, and I took a picture of the dialogue and sent it to her, and she goes, "Oh, that looks like Old English." Yes, it definitely reminded me of Old English. And when I read, what books in high school had Old English? Beowulf. There we go. It gave me Beowulf vibes from the dialogue, and Old English is something that I struggled to understand in school. So that has been a challenge, but the more I read it, the more I will get accustomed to it. So in order to get a move on with this book, I have tabbed every 50 pages. That's my goal, to read 50 pages a day once I get back into this book, because right now I am currently reading, and I had mentioned this in my skincare book tag, and that is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is a chunker. I believe this is considered an adult epic fantasy. So this started off as a buddy read with Joe from Not So Average Joe, and we started reading this the second week of February. We both found this book to be very, I think, overwhelming. There was just so much going on, and there's a lot of characters. The story itself is good. This book is really hard for me to explain. I can't even really tell you what this book is about because there is just so much going on. There are augurs, you know, those guys that can see the future and may have other special abilities. So the augurs are supposedly gone. You have this boundary and these monsters and this war, and there's just so many other characters. There's just a lot. It's not that it's bad. I enjoy it. This is why I'm still reading it, because I want to find out what happens to the characters. But the pacing is so slow, and the more I read it, the more I find myself with more questions than answers. Right when I feel like there's an answer coming, or there's a solution that's coming for one of the characters, something else happens, and then we focus on that. And it's like...
life.
Thank you. Really? That's my not February wrap-up, but more currently reading.
Alright guys, we love you. We mean it. Y'all take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.